Long ago, two friends played through Toby Fox's Undertale. After they played, a war of words broke out between the two friends. After a long podcast, both humans were victorious. They sealed this podcast underground with a flirty spell. For the first time, this podcast, the Left Behind Game Club episode 62, was released. Legends say that those who climb the mountain may never return.
You're listening to the Left Behind Game Club.
Welcome to the Left Behind Game Club, our never-ending attempt to make sure that no game is left behind. I'm your host, Jacob McCourt, and today I just have one friend with me, but he's a good friend.
Oh, okay.
Travis Colenutt, hi.
Oh, hi.
Hi. We're going to talk about a video game, and it's a video game we're going to get right into.
Yeah.
This is Undertale, developed by Toby Fox, published by Toby Fox.
Crazy.
This game was released on many different platforms. Microsoft Windows, Linux, PS4, Vita, Switch. First released on September 15th, 2015. I want to actually start off with two warnings before we actually get into the bulk of the show.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so
Warn me.
The first warning is, you've played the game.
Yeah.
I've played the game. But if you are listening to this and you have not played Undertale, I implore you to hit stop right now.
Don't listen.
Don't listen to this because we are going to spoil everything.
Reverse marketing.
We are dissuading people from playing Undertale, or rather listening to our podcast. And the second warning is to please be forgiving. This is a game with a stupid amount of lore.
Yeah.
And I am certain that probably me, but Travis or I might get something wrong. Just forgive us because this game has a stupid amount of lore.
I'm nodding, but you can't see that because it's over just the internet with my voice.
It plays well on a microphone. What is the sound of my head makes when I nod?
It sounds like an empty void.
An empty void,
Yeah.
like the start of Undertale.
Oh, here we go.
Segue.
Oh my god.
What's the basic premise of Undertale?
I guess the game starts off immediately with the once upon a time there was monsters and humans, and pretty much they lived together, and then for some reason the monsters all lived underground and all the humans were on above ground, and you start off pretty much as a human that falls down a deep dark hole into the underground where the monsters all live, and that's you're kind of thrown right into it. There's really, you could sit there and watch the whole intro sequence there that kind of gives you like the basics, but I don't think I remember most of it.
No, and most of it really doesn't come into play until much later,
like very, very late. So.
Yeah, so you're in Mount Ebot. That's the name of the mountain.
I don't even know if I knew that was the name.
And I think the year is 20XX or
yes. 200X, I think. Yeah,
something along those lines. And I guess when you fall into like a bed of flowers.
Petals?
Yes, and you immediately meet the first character of the game, right?
Yes.
Flowey.
Oh,
Flowey.
Oh, God.
And Flowey seems like a really nice person.
Yeah.
You're like, hey.
Super pleasant.
Super pleasant. Hey, come over here. Let me show you how the world works. This is how I imagine Flowey's voice starts like this, where it's like, hey, why don't you come over here? Let me just show you all the good stuff about this world. Don't worry, I won't hurt you. But soon it's like a stranger with a van full of candy.
Right.
It just turns incredibly wrong very fast.
Very, very fast. So I guess like to kind of explain how the gameplay works in this game, it's a role-playing game. You're a character that moves around a map and everything, but when you have like random battles, so the idea is that you are your soul, and your soul is a little heart, and it's pretty much like a bullet hell game, which I did not know when I started playing this. I thought it was going to be like turn-based, because I know it's very inspired from like Earthbound or Mother, and all those kinds of things. And so I figured turn-based like battles, but it is turn-based, but when you're attacked, it's dodging attacks within a little confined space. So Flowey pretty much says like, oh, these pellets that I'm shooting out, they're you want to get these because they're love and everything like that. And as you go for them, it actually depletes your HP, and he then like heel turns on you. And yeah, that would be the noise. And then he pretty much says like, yeah, no, like your heart is your, like, that's your soul, and he's trying to pretty much take it. And yeah, so you get attacked. So, and he pretty much tells you like from the get-go, like it's kill or be killed. You need to like either protect yourself or you're gonna die.
Yeah, and it gets really hairy very fast.
Yeah.
Until you're kind of the first other major character, apart from the second major character, comes, and that's Toriel, who comes in to try and save you.
Yeah.
I think it's funny that it's kind of a play on tutorial.
Yeah.
I
didn't know how to pronounce any of the characters' names in this, so I had to like look up how to pronounce it, and then I was like, oh, okay, that's like a play on that, I guess. And like even then, I don't know if I can say her name properly. Toriel. Tutorial without the "t" in front of it.
Yeah.
So Toriel.
Yes, Toriel.
Toriel.
Well, I had that thing right before we started the show. I forget if it was me or you was talking about the characters and just said Asgore, and then immediately said that's probably not how you say that.
No, I don't think so.
But Toriel comes and saves you from Flowey,
Yeah.
and kind of hand-holdingly takes you through.
Literally hand-holding you. Like you're a young child and she's like your adoptive mother.
Yeah, in a really weird, ironic kind of way, because her name's Toriel.
Yeah.
And like that's what tutorials do.
Yeah.
They literally hold your hand through the world.
And like she did a bad job of it sometimes, because like she's like taking you through like, okay, so here's how the world works, and there's going to be like overworld puzzles that you're constantly having to solve. So like this game kind of flips between turn-based bullet time events and overworld map puzzles that you're kind of just flicking switches and opening up paths so that you don't die. And so she pretty much like, for some of the beginning, she like shows you, oh, you have to flip this switch to, turn off these spikes in the floor. And then for once she's like, I'm just going to do this one for you. You can just follow behind me. And I'm just like, okay, this isn't teaching me anything.
She takes the training wheels off very fast.
Oh, yeah.
Because at one point she's like, you're going to just do this run by.
Yeah, and then she disappears.
Away.
Yeah, and then she doesn't, like, she disappears forever. And then she gives you her phone number. And then she pretty much, like, you don't find her again for quite a while. And, like, you get... Oh, yeah, because I guess she, like, teaches you how to fight against a dummy, right? And so at the very beginning of this tutorial, she kind of teaches you how to fight against a dummy. And she... you have different options along the bottom. So like I had mentioned, you have like the little box that has your heart, and you have to kind of dodge whatever attacks come your way. So you have different options. That's when you're getting attacked. But when you are doing the attacking, you can either fight, you can act, you can use an item, or you can mercy. So fight would actually like attack with whatever equipped weapon you have and deplete their HP. Act gives you like the option to either check, so like you can look and see what their HP is, and like you get a little like flavor text. And then or like act will also give you like random options. Like, so in this tutorial, you have the option to talk to the fake dummy, so you can just sit there and talk, and then it gives you like a fun little comment saying, oh, like you're speaking to the dummy, but it doesn't understand you because it's a dummy. And then item, you can use an item, and then mercy, you can either like flee or you can spare. So which kind of builds into how you play this game, essentially. So Toriel is very adamant about like, don't fight, just you talk to it, have a conversation, and move along from there. Like, and you should be okay. Like, that's pretty much her advice, is just to talk to it. You don't really have to fight it.
Yeah, Toriel is very much like a motherly figure in that, like, imagine you're going onto the schoolyard, and your mom's like, that bully that's giving you heck at school is taking your lunch money. You got to be better than him. Go over him instead of through him. Don't fight.
She may be like a mother figure, but I did flirt with her.
Huh? Hold on, slow down.
You have the option to flirt with her. So there was, I think it's, so she gives you a cell phone so you can contact her, and then so I was just like calling her nonstop because I did it like I wanted to see what every option was going to give me, and you have the option to call her mother. So you can
hold on. What
you have the option? The option in the phone, like the voice option that you have is, can I call you mom, or can I call you mother? And she's like, sure, if you want to, like that I'd be okay with that. And then you can hang up and then you call back and there's an option, flirt with Toriel. And then it's like, and so she's like blushing and whatnot, but it's also, you get called out for like, she's like, I don't know why you would want to call me mother after saying those things to me. More or less. So yeah.
So the moral of the story here is, if you're gonna flirt, make sure that you call them mommy after you flirt with them.
Yeah, pretty much. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Toriel.
Yeah.
You end up going to their house, right?
Yes. Yeah. So you go to her house, and pretty much you can she kind of like, you know, you get to sleep in her bed, you get to sleep in a bed, not her bed, no god,
we're not flirting anymore. She's a motherly figure now.
You get to sleep in a bed and she'll make you like pie, and you know, it's pretty adamant about you staying in the home. She doesn't really want you to leave. But you have to be pretty insistent, like, hey, like, I want to go back to the surface. Like, I want to leave. I want to go through what is called the barrier. So there's apparently, lore of the story, there's a barrier that's blocking the underworld with the monsters from the overworld with all the humans, and you can't really go through. And so your character wants to go through, wants to go home, and you have to like pretty well convince her, like, hey, I want to leave.
Yeah, and they almost have this, they don't lie, well, they do lie to you and say that like only a human soul can pass through this barrier. You find out that that's actually not the case much later. Yeah. But she just wants to protect you almost like a mother would, for reasons that you don't know yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you're very much getting that, like, I thought a lot of To the Moon, and hey, spoilers for To the Moon for the next 10 seconds.
Go listen to that podcast.
Yeah, hey, that's a podcast you can listen to.
Now that's marketing.
Hey, why aren't you here more?
I don't know.
You're marketing for us.
Here
really
we go.
Well.
Yeah,
here we go.
Free labor.
To the Moon has a very similar thing, but in essence, it is around like loss. And when a mother loses one child, there's a certain way that they feel, and they almost clamp down twice as hard on the child that's still left.
Right.
There's a lot of that going on here for reasons why you
have no idea.
You don't know. You
don't know anything yet.
Yeah, it's almost like a mother that's been abandoned, and you'll find out why later. But you keep pushing, and you're like, I want to leave. I want to go home. This is not my home.
Yep.
I want to go through the ruins, get to the barrier, and go home. So she essentially is like, I can't let you do that. I'm going to fight you.
Yeah.
So that's when you fight Toriel.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, first major boss fight of the game. She uses a lot of like fire magic, and you have to dodge her little fireballs and stuff like that. So,
and I was not expecting for it to escalate that fast.
Exactly. What method did you use to get out of that fight?
Again, I am going to say for one last time, if you have not played Undertale and you are interested in the game, we are about to spoil how the game works, so please stop now. This is reverse marketing. Please stop. 3, 2, 1. On my first playthrough, I killed Toriel.
You didn't!
I killed Toriel on my first one. I wasn't thinking. For the first 2 hours, I was on auto. I was cruising through this game.
Did you kill every animal along the way too?
I did.
Oh no!
I was killing everything. Like, I didn't go out of my way to kill everything, but I was killing everything. Like, that
whenever
was coming to me.
anything that came to you, you killed it.
I killed everything.
You just fought. Did you use any act options ever? Did you spare anyone?
I would say in the first 90 minutes, I killed everyone.
My god!
I think until I reached Lesser Dog, when you actually
Lesser Dog.
Only because
That's
when you
so far.
I killed everything until Lesser Dog. Why? What did you do?
Oh my god! I didn't kill a thing.
On your first playthrough.
So, okay, I took what Toriel was telling me in, like, fighting that dummy, like, just talk to it, and then I'll be here. She was like, I'll be here to help you. And so I took that very, very literally. And I was just like, no, I'm not going to, I'm not going to fight. And then, like, I saw that you could fight, but it's, like, the game does a decent job of kind of indicating that you need to get towards, like, non-combative options if you can. Now, I will say, I did know early on that I knew prior to playing this game that there was a, like, not a morality thing, but there was different paths depending on the actions you took. And all I knew that there was a genocide route, a neutral route, and a pacifist route. I didn't know the details of that. I didn't know how you achieve those routes, but I did have that foreknowledge. I've never played this game before, but I did know just because I just have randomly looked it up before.
Right.
That existed.
Right.
So I took the idea of like, well, I'm going to do the pacifist route, like seriously. So I didn't fight at all. So I ended up, I think you just have to keep saying like mercy, like constantly mercy, 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 mercy when you're fighting Toriel. And eventually you just have to survive her attacks. And then eventually she just, she like breaks down and lets you go through.
Yeah, because I think it's worthwhile to say in that bullet hell, like she's throwing fireballs right at you. But if your health gets down, if your health gets down to 2 HP, she actually starts to spare you.
Yes, and I think that's applicable to everywhere in the game because that happened a lot at the final boss for me. And I think that's actually pretty applicable. Like if you got hit already and then you get hit down and you only have 1 HP left, I think the game lets you survive so that you have the opportunity to heal yourself the next level. Right. But if you got hit in the next attack, you would die.
But even for Toriel, if like there's a certain point she stops hitting you directly.
Right. Yeah. Even like let's say like so like the moves might be like tears or something like that. Like if you kind of like took it aesthetically as like tears, you would move your heart and they would actually move away from her, like away from you. So like she's not actively trying to hurt you anymore. Right. So.
Yeah. So I killed Toriel. I'm a bad human being.
Oh my God, that poor sweet woman.
We had our friends at Video Game Rations. They just did a podcast about Undertale. You can check them out on your podcast feed or podcast platform of preference. But they tweeted at us and said they're so excited to hear the morality and how we played it.
Oh my God.
So I guess you are a better human being than I am.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I mean, I guess I could have guessed that early on.
Yeah, I'm embodying. It's funny when I think about the 3 main hosts. I think of myself as kind of like a true neutral.
Yeah.
Whereas like Michael is.
And the minute
good.
Mo's not here, you got to go dark.
I go so dark.
Oh my God.
I have to embody Mo when he's not here.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So we're gonna go dark as we enter Snowdin, which is the first.
So wait, I need to know when she dies, what happens? She just dies.
She just dies.
Then you just keep going.
Poof. And
is there any kind of consequence? Is there any kind of thing telling you? You level up, and you get experience.
Mm-hmm. Do you get LV and you get EXP for sure?
But let's not spoil that one until we get later into the game.
Do you know how many permutations of endings there are in Undertale?
I'm assuming there's one for every route, but I don't know.
So there's 3 kind of main paths.
Okay.
But do you know how many total different permutations there are?
No.
There are 94 different endings that you can get in this game. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
There's a flowchart if you go on Reddit or you go on your,
Is it just based on like different interactions with different characters?
100%.
Oh, okay.
So depending on, let's say there are 6 main bosses.
Right.
Depending on if you kill them or leave them,
right.
You get small different variations
because you would have different like people at the end of the game,
and also dialogue will change a little bit. Like you've said, there are probably like 3 main buckets.
Right.
Within that, there might be like 3 or 4 different like major. My understanding is when I was watching YouTube videos, there were 7 main types of endings.
Okay.
But there are 94 permutations within that.
Gotcha.
So when I kill Toriel, for example, in addition to Toriel not being a part of the ending, but you need to let everyone survive to see all the people at the end.
Right.
But your dialogue will change in the last bit.
Right. I guess, yeah, because she wouldn't be around.
She wouldn't be around.
You murdered her.
I cold-blooded.
You hit her with that stick over and over again.
Yes, I did.
Oh my God.
My character was a bad man.
Oh no.
Jacob was my character.
Oh,
I think they have like they them pronouns, but like
for
me it was.
I think
Jacob.
it's implied. Like I think it's even mentioned in game that like the player character is pretty androgynous. Like you don't know if it's male or female.
Yeah, you kind of take it. And
I was kind of like that with most of the characters in the game. Actually, you couldn't tell genders other than whatever pronouns they used. And I thought that was actually really cool.
Yeah, so did I.
Yeah,
I think apart from Sans and Papyrus, is that how you say it?
I think I was pronouncing it Papyrus. I don't think I ever said it out loud. So this is weird.
It's the font, right?
Yeah, Papyrus.
Papyrus. Those two are assumed to be brothers, but then beyond that, a lot of the like Mettaton, for example, don't know. Doesn't matter.
Robot has no gender.
Yeah, robot has no gender.
Yeah.
Undyne, don't know. Female. See?
Female.
Snowdin is when you meet Sans and Papyrus for the first time. And let me tell you, like, I actually want to ask you who you think my favorite out of the 2 is.
Oh, God.
Because I feel like I started one way and actually ended in a different way.
my gut wants to say that you would have been like, oh yeah, Sans is great, but then I feel like you're pretty much Papyrus. So no, so I feel like, yeah,
That's 100%
yeah,
how it
I
was.
kind of figured.
Yeah, you know me too well. That I started out being like, Sans my boy.
Yeah.
But then you realize that like he's actually an old soul and knows a lot.
Right.
And Papyrus is just like silly and really
Yeah.
terrible at things, which explains me really
Right.
well.
Oh yeah.
Who was your favorite?
Out of the two of them,
Yeah.
you know what? I think I was super annoyed with Papyrus early on, which,
Yep.
yeah, that makes sense if it's you. And then, so I think I was super annoyed early on with him just because, like, it's like all in caps. And I'm like, stop yelling at me. And then, you know, and like Sans is like the iconic character from this game. Like, you know, people are like, oh, Sans for Smash. You know, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's the character that people pull from this game the most. And I was kind of like, I don't know if I felt like he had that big of a presence. I was surprised that like that was the character that everyone like gravitated towards in that game. Like, he's great, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I was surprised that that was the one. I was like, because I don't even feel like when, did you ever fight him?
Sans?
Yeah.
I did not.
I don't think I did either.
But you can fight him.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
That's why I kind of like, I don't think I viewed him as like one of the main characters in the game because I was viewing all the main bosses in the game as the main sub characters.
Can I let you on a secret that we can talk about later?
Okay.
Sans can be one of the bosses much later on, depending on how you play.
Oh no.
Yeah, but it's the deepest option.
Oh no.
It's when the lore is the deepest.
Oh no.
We'll get into that later, though.
Oh god. Okay.
But like you meet Sans, you meet Papyrus, and then you find out, you know, apart from Sans's many puns that are terrible, how much work does he have to do today? A skeleton of work. But
Yeah. Terrible.
but you find out that Papyrus wants to be part of the Royal Guard, and that's when you're introduced to the concept or the person of Undyne.
Yes.
That Undyne is the head of the Royal Guard,
Yes.
and that all they want to do is to be able to get a human soul
Right.
to be able to go through the barrier.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
For Asgore, who is the king.
Yes.
Yeah.
Asgore. Asgore the king.
Yes. Asgore.
You end up going through a series of increasingly, I use that term very lightly, increasingly difficult puzzles.
Yeah. Yeah. So pretty much like you slowly start winning over Papyrus as you're doing his puzzles because he's like enjoying the challenge of like creating these puzzles and trying to catch you, and he really wants to catch you, but he's really bad at it.
Yeah.
And you keep going through different like puzzles. Sometimes it's like, oh, you have to clear some snow off of an area to like press a button, or like, oh, here's a bridge and you have to make sure you remember all the colors that are randomized, and you have to be able to, you know, if you hit the red one, you're going to fight an enemy. If you hit a yellow one, you're going to get electrocuted. And then he and I'm like, oh my God, I'm sitting there and I'm writing down like what all of the colors do, so that way I know I can make my way through the map. And the map then just turns into like a pure pink one that you can just walk all the way through.
It was amazing.
Yeah, that's the thing. This game does that a lot. When it comes to the puzzles in the overworld, they trick you into thinking they're more difficult than they really are. And the real challenge comes from like the actual boss fights with the like bullet hell time events.
That
right?
and like deciding how you're going to approach the game.
Exactly.
And the relationship between Sans and Papyrus actually reminded me a lot of Inspector Gadget, the old cartoon.
Yeah.
That like Inspector Gadget is Papyrus, and
Yep,
he like
totally.
is a slapsticky kind of like not very smart guy that is put at the front.
Yeah.
And then Sans is like Penny, where Sans does all the work.
All the work, really.
That was a fun dynamic that I
That's
surmised
really funny.
there. A lot happens, but I think what ends up happening at the end of all of those puzzles is that Papyrus is like, okay, I gotta capture a human, so we're gonna fight.
Yeah.
This is the point that I mentioned earlier when I started to go like, because you fight a whole bunch of enemies, including the lesser dog, which is hilarious because when you like pet him, his head gets bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
And it was just so cute. I wanted to pet the dog.
I did fight lesser dog, but was there greater dog? And
there was greater dog.
That was
too.
a big dog in a suit of armor.
Yes.
And I think I liked greater dog a lot more. I don't know why.
I just love that like
that dog
nomenclature.
Period.
Yeah.
I think I just like the dog like image in this game in general is just really funny looking, and like they do a good job of like using that dog image a lot in this game, which is really fun.
Even within the actual, so we talked about the bullet hell. So
Yes.
bullet hell, imagine a game like Ikaruga or R-Type for the PlayStation, like those style of games. But sometimes like objects will come in.
Yes.
Like frogs will just jump into your bullet hell.
Right? So
or dogs.
Sometimes they're themed, right? So when you're fighting like Papyrus, it's like bones. Like, and you pretty much have to jump over bones. Oh yeah, because they introduced a different mechanic with him, which is like the blue. So like, be careful of his blue attack. And essentially, if an item that enters in your little zone with your heart is blue, you don't want to move while it passes over you. If you move, you get damage. So you have to like stop moving. So there's pretty much his fight is a lot of like jumping over. You don't have free range motion. You have to jump. And it's jumping over the bones over and over again. And then sometimes they're blue and sometimes they're not. And like, I died a lot with that fight. He eventually captures you. So you get all the way down to like 1 HP, I think. And then he captures you and puts you in what is his shed next to his house.
What?
Yeah.
Does he?
Why? Did you not do this?
No. Keep talking. I don't remember this.
So you fight him. I think you win. And then you get to actually go into the town of Snowdin.
Yep.
And then once you like you can do whatever you want in Snowdin. You can buy some stuff. There's like
it's a cute town.
Yeah, it's a cute little town, and the monsters are all really weird looking and they're fun. And
there's
whatever.
a bar. There's a library.
Yeah, there's stuff you can do and see, and it gives you like little added lore stuff. But if you try to leave Snowdin, it gets really foggy, and you end up running into Papyrus.
Yep.
And if you lose, you don't die. He captures you and puts you into his shed next to his house.
Okay.
And so you're pretty much locked in like a big like shed, and like, but you can actually just pass through the bars. Like it tricks you in thinking that like you're trapped in there. Like, oh, there's no key. Like, I'm looking in a dog. He gives you like a dog bowl full of food, and like leaves you in his shed, and you can pretty much just pass through the bars by walking through them because they're big. Because he doesn't have any
because
sense.
He's incompetent?
Yeah, pretty much. And then you leave, and if you go out again, you then refight Papyrus again. So I couldn't beat the Papyrus fight. After 3 times of not beating the Papyrus fight, he actually let me go.
Really?
The game let me continue. Like, he said, like, if you're just gonna escape again, then what is the point of me recapturing you?
Okay.
Yeah. And then he let me go, and then I could continue the story. Why? What happened with you? But I wasn't fighting him. That's the thing. I was also just doing act options.
Right. So I also fought him, but I spared him because I
You must have won. You must have survived long enough. I think you have to survive so many rounds, maybe. And I don't think I was surviving enough rounds to get to the end of that boss fight.
Yeah.
So if he got my health down to 1, technically if your health gets to 0, you die. But in this case, when your health gets to 1, he brings you back and you get captured again. It's the only time it happens in the game. I don't recall it happening ever again.
And see, what level were you at that point?
I was still 0 because I hadn't killed anything. So that's the thing. I didn't kill anything. I had no I had the base HP, which was 20. I hadn't, like, the whole time you're going through Snowdin, you're getting random encounters with random enemies and whatnot, and I'm just being creative with my act options to try to like spare them.
So this explains a lot of why I think the game might have taken you longer than me.
Oh, okay, yeah, because I mean, I wasn't just fighting them. I was like having to dodge their attacks, then try to do whatever actions I could in the right order to then activate the option to spare them.
Did you date Papyrus
yes,
afterwards?
I did, yeah. So I flirted with him in the fight.
Yep.
And then afterwards, he pretty much is like, do you want to date? And then, so I think you get his cell phone number, and then you can set up a date with him.
Yeah, and that date is just wild.
Yeah.
You go to his house, and he tells you about every single thing that's in his house.
Yep.
He lives with Sans, and Sans at one point just like pulls out a trump out of his room. You go to his room, and there's like insinuation of like, so what are you gonna do after we're done this date? We're gonna have what do people do after dates? Wink, wink.
And he has no idea,
and he has no clue because he's never been on a date with
exactly.
someone. He gets nervous, and he's like, I don't know what to do here. And then you get like in a type of battle within it.
It's pretty much like the dates themselves are pretty much little battles too, right? So Yeah, it kind of does the same idea. Like you have, it's bullet hell issue stuff, but like it's easier. It's much easier to win these dates. They're more fun than anything. And I think there's other like criteria. I think the UI on the map changes a little bit, or like on your fight screen changes a little bit too. And there's added things. Like I think it's his cool factor, or it's something similar to that. And then you had to like point to what part of him you liked the most, I think, and it was his hat. I can't remember exactly.
Or like immediately someone's going to point at his crotch.
Yeah, pretty much. Right.
I think I started there and I'm like, they would want me to point at the crotch, but I'm going to point at his hat because that's cool. Yeah. I'm a terrible human being. So you beat Papyrus.
Yeah. So when you're finishing the date, he's actually like, so I actually don't really like you. Like pretty much like...
Yeah, what the hell? He shut you down.
Yeah, because he's like, I only really dated you because you flirted with me earlier. Like...
Fickle.
Yeah, so he really was not into it. And I was kind of like, this is like not really nice. Like I thought like typically when you're the player character, like, oh, you like won the date and then, in any other game, you would then, they would be into you. Yeah. But this is definitely like a reversal of like that... No, you're going to get rejected over and over again when you date these characters. It's like real
high school.
Yeah, when you date these characters in this game, you're going to get rejected over and over and over again. So,
it's really sad.
Yeah. So I kind of reached a point where I was like, oh, okay, I'm not supposed to actually end up with a character. There's no like actual romance paths in these games. So
no, it continues to trick you. Yeah. In addition to kind of the morality messery that is at play there, it's also like breaking down the stereotypes in games around like love and connection to other characters. Because if you're playing Mass Effect where there's morality, it'd be like, okay, you're gonna like go and make out with Miranda, and then after that you're gonna go make out with Jack, and like none of it matters. Just whoever you're last with,
that's what matters.
That's who you're gonna sleep with.
Because that's what life is like.
That's video game love is just like regular world love. Yeah. You're married, right?
Yeah, totally. That's actually exactly how I got my wife.
Oh, boy.
Please don't listen to this.
She's gonna come at you later.
Yep.
The waterfall.
Yeah. So after
Undyne.
after Papyrus, you like date Papyrus and you leave. So wait, did you kill Papyrus too?
No.
Okay.
Because I saw myself in Papyrus and I'm like,
oh, so you let him go?
I let him go.
But Toriel's dead.
Toriel's dead.
Okay.
Yeah. I think I'm not skipping ahead much, but I killed everyone except Papyrus.
Sorry, that was really loud. Wow.
I killed everyone but the video game pit of me and myself in Undertale.
Narcissistic.
Yeah.
Wow.
I really channeled Mo really well.
Wow.
Here.
Oh my God. I can't believe. So like every other encounter along the way?
Dead.
Everyone is
all
dead.
All of them. Yep.
Did you actively go out of your way to kill things? Like let's say, like, did you stay in an area? Because, okay, so like I was reading like what the different routes are, and there's like a genocide route.
Yes.
And if you kill everything, I'm assuming you must not have gotten that route given that you let Papyrus live.
Yes.
But were you actively like staying in an area until you stopped getting encounters and kept killing things? Because that's part of it too.
Yeah, no. So I went, I guess, my first playthrough like a neutral.
Okay.
Like a neutral route.
Gotcha.
And that was because, as you've mentioned, I didn't go out of my way and kill everything.
Right.
And I let one of the main villains go.
Gotcha.
So I would have to kill every boss. And you know how in like Pokemon you'd go and do 1,000 random encounters, so you catch a good Pokemon,
and it just goes on forever.
There's a point in this game, and you know this, where the overworld that you're in will run out of characters.
Yes,
so
there's like a limited amount of overworld random encounters, and if you're going the genocide route, you have to legit clear every area of random encounters
of all of the monsters in that area. Which much. Sometimes there's like 20.
Oh, I have no idea. Yeah. I don't even know how many.
Yeah, so I went neutral my first playthrough.
Gotcha. I can't believe you let him live, but you killed everyone else.
I killed everyone else.
Oh my God.
Yeah, Undyne. I killed Undyne.
Oh no! Yeah. I love Undyne.
Do you?
Yes, because she gets terrific after you let her live.
Oh no! You're gonna have to tell me about this.
Oh yeah, I'll have to tell you about this.
Because I was gonna say my favorite character by far. I think I like Mettaton more than Papyrus.
Actually, okay. If we're gonna say which character is Jacob McCourt, is it Mettaton? That's also. Oh no! You have two like insert characters in
Yep,
here.
I do.
Oh my god.
I think I'm a combination of both.
I'm probably Alphys. Here
but,
we go.
But that's maybe you're Alphys. Only be
Stuttering, nervous mess.
No, you're a combination of Alphys and Sans.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah. I can see that.
I think you're 75% Sans, 25% Alphys.
Okay. Well, at least that's I can live with that ratio.
Tell me about Undyne and how you did stuff with Undyne afterwards, because I just killed Undyne.
Oh my god.
First form.
Undyne was terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I didn't feel really any challenge in Snowdin. Like I felt like Sans and Papyrus were pretty like easy, like they were, laughing and it was a joke and you could tell early on that Papyrus was not really gonna like hurt you in any way. But Undyne was like immediately threatening. She's in this giant suit of armor. And you're pretty much going through the waterfall area. I don't know, it's just like going through different puzzles. It's the same kind of idea.
There's only really three main, like there are other guard characters.
Yeah.
But it's Undyne. I think the character's called the Monster Child.
Oh, yeah. The little
kid
yellow kid that runs around and kind of joins you for a little bit.
And trips everywhere.
Yeah.
So there's Undyne, the Monster Child, yourself, and then other minor characters. But really it's puzzles, Undyne, the Monster Child, and yourself.
Yeah, and like with Undyne, there's a lot of overworld like battling too. Like it's not even in like the actual like battle like screen. It's you're dodging Undyne's attacks on the overworld map. So it's once again bullet hell stuff, but it's on the overworld map. So she's pretty much throwing like spears at you, like energy spears at you.
Yeah, I loved how they're just constantly like playing with what you think is going to happen. You're like, oh no, I'm in the overworld.
Exactly.
I'm safe here.
Yeah,
no,
you're not. Because then sometimes they're coming up through the floor and you have to like dodge around to get to the next area.
Toby says no.
What's that?
Toby says no.
Toby says no?
Toby says no.
Oh, right.
All your expectations about this game change at every moment.
Oh my god.
Toby says no.
Yeah. So like there's different like so she'll throw some of them at you. You're trying to run away and you're hiding in tall grass. You're jumping around. You're trying to get away. I think it leads to the little monster child getting like I think tripping and falling off a bridge, and you can choose to save the little child or let him fall and escape. Did you let the child fall to his death?
I didn't.
Oh, okay. Good.
I actually saved the monster child
nice.
because
Okay.
I felt bad.
Yeah, poor little kid.
Yeah,
He just tripped.
you obviously saved the monster child.
Yeah. Of course.
I'm not a monster.
Oh my god. Yeah, no. So I saved the kid, and then the Undyne fight. It's a lot of like throwing spears, and also I think the reason why I like that the Undyne fight is terrifying because like she's really introduced as like a really scary overworld like just like solid beast of a character, like big suit of armor, you're like very slow moving, you're scared. Like I was scared, and then like that fight music starts up and it's freaking terrific.
We haven't talked about the music at
Oh my
all.
god. So like I think the music gets stuck in my head for this game, but like some of those boss fight music and like if you know me, I'm like really, I love video game music. Like I could go on about that for a long time, but that Undyne boss fight battle, it's like dun, 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 and it's like heart pounding, and I was terrified, and like I think I did that Undyne fight a lot because once again I wasn't fighting,
right?
So I was doing axe and trying to spare. I don't remember what the axe were.
Okay.
I can't remember what the axe were for Papyrus either. Like I don't know if I know Toriel, it was definitely constantly trying to spare. And I know that sometimes if you talk, you might be able to like reduce the damage output and stuff like that. But I don't remember what the acts were that I had in terms of options for like the boss characters.
Yeah.
I could remember certain ones for like the minor random overworld characters that like monsters that you have to fight.
Yep.
But I can't remember these boss ones very clearly.
And there's a lot of enemy variety. It's something we haven't really talked about, but like there's a lot of unique characters that would be found in like a Mother game, for example.
Yeah,
Earthbound.
they're weird looking.
Some of them are weird. Some of them just like, hey, this has a plane with a face.
I love the plane.
Yeah, plane with a face.
I think I want to say my favorite one was Aaron. Do you remember Aaron?
No.
Aaron's the flexing one. Oh, you probably just killed it.
Oh, yeah, I just killed.
Oh, so no, you have to flex.
And he flexes
and then he flexes
away, right?
back, and then he like if you flex 3 times or something, then Aaron flexes himself out of the room, and then he just floats away, and I love it.
Oh man,
yeah. So I think there was so just to kind of reiterate those random encounters, the different acts that you have to do to like spare these characters if you're not killing them all. And I'm looking at you. It's pretty much like a puzzle in itself, because you have to figure out what options you have to select to kind of trigger them realizing that you're not going to hurt them, right? So like in Snowdin, there's like this weird deer animal with like a bunch of like decorations on its antlers, and you essentially just have to like undecorate the deer, and then it warms up to you, and then you can spare it and it leaves.
You undecorate the deer? That sounds worse than killing
the
deer.
It wants to be undecorated because it's so heavy. All the decorations on it was decorated by like by either children or accident or something like that.
You're being a good elf boy.
Yes.
Okay.
So I was saying it's a little puzzle in itself, trying to figure out, and like you're using like the cues for what the animals are, like the monsters are saying. So like sometimes there'll be a character and it'll be like, I don't know, like it might, like the little like flavor text will be like, if it's a dog, it looks like it wants to play. So the act option that I'm going to choose is play, right? So I can't remember what they were for the boss fight. So Undyne, I know I made my way through without fighting. And then you essentially keep... So wait, when you kill Undyne...
Yep.
Does it go... For you, did it go 3 times worth of fighting? Like you would fight, run away, fight, run away, fight, run away?
No, you just kill Undyne.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah.
So... You fight and you get to the point where you can run.
Because Undyne has more than one form, right?
Yeah, I think eventually her armor comes off at one point. I can't remember exactly.
Okay.
But you fight, run away, Undyne chases you.
Mm-hmm.
Fight, run away, Undyne chases you. Fight, run away, Undyne chases you. And you run right into the hot zone, or the Hotlands. Yep. So from Waterfall, you run right into the Hotlands.
This does not happen when you play at Neutral or Genocide.
Okay. So I think it happens... See, I think technically... I was neutral, but I didn't kill anyone. But we'll get to that at the end.
Okay.
Just the technicality.
Okay.
So you fight, run away, and then you get to the Hotlands, and Undyne just passes out because it's way too hot, and she's kind of like a fish.
Yep.
So there's a water cooler conveniently placed in that space.
That's what it's for.
Yeah. So you have to go grab the water from the water cooler, grab it, and give it to Undyne. Or you just kind of pour the water on her, and then she wakes up and she runs away, and then you've saved Undyne.
Wow.
So you don't have to kill Undyne.
Okay.
Then what ends up happening is if you have to go back I looked this up online because I realized after the Papyrus stuff that I was like, okay, I think I'm doing well for the pacifist thing. I want to make sure I don't miss anything.
Yep.
And I knew that I had to go back and interact with Undyne again. So you go back and you date Undyne.
Oh, wow.
So you go back to her house. There's it's like a fish house of some kind.
Yep.
Kind of where that ghost was.
Mm-hmm.
You remember that ghost?
Yep.
Did you kill the ghost?
Was that the ghost that takes over the?
Might be. No, there was this was a nice ghost.
Oh, it was laying down on the
Yeah.
flowers. No, I didn't kill that ghost.
Oh, good. Okay, I like
just
that
because I was like, oh, you don't just go, just get out of here. I didn't kill the ghost.
Okay, good. So yeah, you go back to Undyne's house, and you pretty much say you want a date, and then Undyne, you kind of trick Undyne into dating in I think it's kind of reverse psychology and oh well, I bet you can't be nice enough to date me kind of thing. It kind of plays out that way.
You won't not date
right,
me.
Exactly, right. And so Undyne and you cook a meal together.
Oh.
So and it's it's pretty she's very aggressive and full on, and you're getting up from the seat to go help with the dinner, and she throws a spear at the table and says, "Don't get up." And then eventually you have to go and you do some stuff. You end up lighting the house on fire, and you end up, I can't exactly remember, you end up outside the house, and because her house burns down, she actually goes to live with Papyrus. So
weird.
Yeah, so when you call Papyrus, you actually call Papyrus and Undyne.
Oh, that's amazing.
So their phone number is the same phone number.
Because this is still in Waterfall, right?
Yeah.
So when I was looking through Waterfall, you end up just coming on this house, and there's a ghost with headphones on, which is the same ghost, and you're just whose house is this? Why is this random ghost hanging out here just chilling?
Yeah.
And there's a snail race that you can also help.
Yeah, I tried to do that.
Help watch. I couldn't get it to go either.
Yeah.
But now I know that's actually
Undyne's
Undyne's house.
Yeah.
Oh.
So it was right next. It was like right next.
So what you're saying is the neutral and genocidal playthroughs are probably not the funnest way to do this.
I mean, like fun and probably I don't know what it would be like the genocide one. Like when you're killing everything, I don't know how much harder things get.
I can kind of walk you through it in the end.
Okay.
Because I can tell you what happens. Because I did a lot of research about the different playthroughs, and it sounds like I did neutral, you did pacifist, so we have that covered. Genocide is a whole nother bag of worms.
Right. You like pretty much almost got your way to genocide though. You're like one step away from genocide.
I'm one step away from genocide for sure. Because in the end, spoiler, I killed Asgore.
Oh god.
So like I was one step away. But before we get to Asgore, there is you go into the Hotlands, and that's where you start to meet the confluence of Alphys and Mettaton. So Alphys is like your prototypical like lab hand, and this lab hand created Mettaton as like a robot friend, but then like you say, yeah, and also I did some adjustments and now the robot wants to kill humans and here's the robot now.
Yeah.
And it's like a robot that is like your best friend, like that crazy wacky best friend you have, but also wants to kill you. And
does this occur often?
Is this the what?
This happens all... Oh, that crazy best friend that's wacky but also wants to kill you?
It sounds like a sitcom.
Yeah, I was going to say this must happen all the time.
Alphys and Mettaton. Sounds like a great ABC TGIF.
If you're not Mettaton, I don't know what...
Yeah, because Mettaton... So just to give you an idea of what the Hotlands is like, it's like a lab. There's a lab, and then there's the true lab below.
Yes, but that's much later.
That's
too.
much later, and
yes.
I didn't really explore that.
Oh, I'll tell you all about that later.
Oh boy! So essentially, you start to befriend Alphys in order to get past Mettaton, because you're like, I need to get past this guy to get to Asgore and get the heck out of here.
Yeah.
And Mettaton, like he's your best friend, he's incredibly theatrical.
Yes.
And ends up taking you through a series of wacky hijinks.
Yeah,
that also kind of
like
have
a cooking show,
a
like
news show,
a quiz show.
Yeah. It's kind of wild.
The quiz show is where I was like, oh, Jacob McCourt.
Yeah, this is me, the Left Behind quiz corner.
Yeah, here we go.
Call me Mettaton.
Except you die at the end.
Yeah, except I die at the end. Oh boy. But what did you do? Because really, I'll just take you through what I did.
Yeah.
We already know what I did. I went through each of these games.
Okay.
The quiz game, which was fine. The news show, which was hilarious, because at the end he's like, and all of these things around you are bombs.
Yes, yeah, that was really good. I liked that a lot.
And then like,
even the dog.
The dog was a bomb, and you had to defuse the dog.
That was an interesting gameplay mechanic too. Like you had to go around and like it was kind of like stop it when it's within the like zone. Kind of. I don't know how to explain that.
So
kind
like
of
you're
thing.
in the overworld, and he's so essentially the way the news show is set up is he's like, go find me a story, right? And your character, you have a very limited sight like vision cone around you, and you just walk around and start looking at things. And you're like, could this be a good story? He's like, here's the script for my new show, and then I obviously said like, let's talk about your new show, Mettaton, because I love you. And he's like, that's cool, but all of these things are bombs.
I chose the dog.
You chose the dog?
The dog was the news story.
You're like, you're a good boy, good pup. Then he's like, all these things explode. So you have 2 minutes to defuse all of the stories that are bombs, including the box office bomb that is his movie script.
Oh gosh.
And you actually click into it. So like if the script is there, for example, you hit A in front of the script or whatever platform you're playing it on, you press the action button, you go into a battle, but all that you have to do is as this bomb is moving around on the screen, you just have to click it within like a certain certain zone on the screen. But sometimes it moves so sporadic.
Yeah, it's hard.
Erratically, it's tough.
Yeah. I didn't die, but
5 seconds.
I think I had like 3 seconds left before.
And maybe the clock slows down for you.
It might, yeah.
But I definitely got to like 5 seconds left, and I was like, oh boy.
Yeah.
Then he takes you through a cooking show.
Yep.
Which was very much like, hey, why don't you get these ingredients for me? And he's like, then I need a human soul. But you're very smart, and you're like, just use imitation soul. It's over there on the can. He's like, oh, cool, let me grab that. And then it goes from there. What does it make you do there?
Oh, you have to, so it's on a table, and then the table like skyrockets into like the stratosphere, and then you get a jetpack that's in your cell phone, and you like have to zoom up and dodge like I want to assume it's flour, and then there's like it's all like baking ingredients and stuff that you're zipping around trying to dodge and it slows you down and you have to get there within like 30 seconds or something like that. So
and then he takes you through like a stage play.
Yeah.
Where he like acts, it's like a musical theater where he's singing to you.
He's pretty much like Rapunzel, I think is he Juliet? I don't know who he is, but he's wearing a dress and he's got long hair.
But he's like a robot. Imagine like a calculator with
it's a calculator with arms and legs.
With arms and legs, and it's like telling you, it's singing about how much it loves you, and I'm just like, I love this video game. Then you fight him.
Yes.
And fighting him is interesting.
Well, you have to get through the core to fight him.
Right, you're right. You're
yes,
right.
So, the actual fight for him.
Yes,
because I think
you
the
fight
core
him
is
in 2 stages.
Yeah, the core is pretty much just like the next level. The core is within the Hotlands, and it's just like more puzzles, more overworld puzzles, more of the same, really.
A lot of like very classic, I keep going back to Pokemon, like Pokemon-esque tile puzzles or
stuff like that.
Teleporting, jumping puzzles.
And then like also core music is terrific. I love that stage's music. I also really like the Hotlands music, but like the music for the core stage is like amazing. I love that song. Yes, let's see. Where do you go from there?
So the 2-stage battle, right? So the first stage, which I think might be before the core, he's impenetrable. He's impossible to beat.
I think so, yeah.
And the only way that you can end up beating him
get a cell phone, yes, and then
thanks to an upgrade from Alphys, where he's like, "Hey, actually shoot it with this thing, and you'll be good." And
then it's like one shot and he dies or something like that. Yeah,
exactly. And that's when you realize that Mettaton actually has a true form.
Yeah. Yes. It's yes. So that's at the end of the core. Yes. And then so there was a bit of a twist at the end of the core for me. I don't know if it was for you.
Tell me what the twist was.
It's pretty much that like I think Mettaton was pretty much turning on Alphys and saying that you Oh gosh.
Yes. That Alphys is actually just doing this to get friends.
Attention and friends and stuff like that.
And that like I was programmed to be evil,
right,
and to lure you in.
Right, but Alphys is going to come in and save you at the last minute. So he pretty much like closes off the door and Alphys can't get in.
Yep.
And then
Mettaton's like, I want my moment. I want my 5 minutes of
exactly
like, in front of the spotlight. I'm going to kill you myself.
So Alphys was kind of playing you the whole time a little bit. I mean, Alphys was kind of annoying, I found.
Like I agree.
I was kind of like... She was fine. I think I was just annoyed with the amount of like text I had to skip through for stuttering.
Yeah, because imagine that you have a cell phone, right? And Alphys upgrades your cell phone.
Yes, and then you get constant notifications. This is why I don't have Facebook.
You remember Facebook in 2007 when you were like, I just went to the toilet.
Yeah.
I just baked a cake.
Yeah.
Alphys is like that, but now, and you get all of the updates as push notifications on your phone.
It's terrible.
There's points where you have to solve a puzzle that involves you walking in a certain way and like not missing a spot, and you're just getting these notifications where it's like, Alphys really likes this anime.
Yeah.
Alphys really thinks this anime is great.
Yeah.
And like,
shut up. I get it. It's fun. You know what I mean? I get the intent. I think I was just more annoyed because I was like, I just want to get through this like section of, because there was a lot of fighting. There was a lot of like random encounters. I was just like mildly annoyed. I think that was probably I think I loved the whole game, but I think the Hotlands stuff with the push notifications was the most annoying because it would stop like literally every 3 steps or something.
I was talking to Jess, who's been on the show before this afternoon, and the way I explained it is like actually playing the game is not the redeeming part of it. Playing the game is just very whatever. It's fine. It's the meta narrative and kind of the stuff that's going on in and around and the writing of the game,
right,
which is the draw for it.
Yes, exactly.
Other than that, it's a very
generic,
like
the game is just the game.
It's a game maker RPG.
Right.
I'm not trying to diminish what Toby Fox has accomplished here because it's
great.
It's fantastic.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's just like the actual core gameplay itself is not.
The puzzles are simple. Sometimes the puzzles are solved for you. Like it's not. I don't think it's intended to be hard.
Yeah.
I think it's supposed to be hard if you go the genocide route. Because I'm pretty sure like people's HP starts rising. I think like you might have a harder time.
I think you had the hardest time.
I think like I had a hard time because I didn't have health, but I just used a lot of healing items. I just got good at memorizing the patterns, right?
Right. I think the easiest way to play is that neutral.
Right.
Because you don't have the extra layers and you're just playing the game, and you may actually in some ways be over-leveled for, not over-leveled, but like well-matched to the bosses that you're playing.
Yeah.
Whereas the genocide route and the pacifist route both have their own challenges. Pacifist because you're not leveling.
The thing is, pacifist you're not leveling. Yeah.
But Genocide,
I don't think
there are tougher bosses.
Yes. But I think that's in Genocide there's tougher bosses because I think because you're killing them, they get a power boost too.
But there are also other bosses that you won't face otherwise.
Yes.
That
it makes it much more harder because you have to go through more bosses and stuff like that too.
So sorry, we were at Mettaton's true form.
Alphys is annoying.
Alphys is annoying. You beat Mettaton, and I just killed Mettaton's second form. I think Mettaton was one of the toughest bosses in the game.
Yeah,
for me.
I had a hard time with Mettaton.
But you spared Mettaton.
Yeah. So
I just killed Mettaton, so it's not interesting. It's
so,
like I murdered.
Yeah. So Mettaton had like a ratings scale in the top of the screen,
much like television, like focus group,
like a TV rating scale.
Yeah,
and. I couldn't figure out how to win this fight. Like I was trying to stay alive, and I couldn't really figure out how to do it.
Right, because that would be a problem for you as you went through. The ratings would start to tank because you're doing something that's not interesting to the audience.
Exactly right. So it was difficult to figure out. So I had to look this one up online to find out, like, just how do I finish the fight. I didn't need like details on how to beat certain attacks or whatever. But it was stay alive until you reach 10,000. In the rating score.
Oh.
That's all you had to do. So like if you didn't do any actions and like I was sitting there waiting, like your score would just keep plummeting and plummeting and plummeting because you're not doing anything. So either I had to like boast to like increase the damage that he might do to me, but also boast the rating score that he gets.
Wow.
Or if my health is really low, I have to do a dramatic pose, and the rating score increases proportionally to the difference in health that I have. So if my health is really low, I get a really high rating score. So it'll bump it by 700 or something.
Wow.
I randomly had bought some healing items at the hotel before the core, and it was like a star fruit or star something.
Yep.
And when I ate it, it was like on brand fruit. So because I happened to get like an item that healed me that was relative to the like it was about this stuff, because I think there was like a hamburger shaped like Mettaton's face or something like that. I can't remember. But it was on brand, so I got like an added bonus to that. So I pretty much just had to stay alive and keep the rating score up. So and I did that, and like the thing is, like, Mettaton's fight was hard, but it was also like the most dramatic for me because I was staying alive, and eventually you blow off his legs and his arms. Mm-hmm. So like you do that. You have to still shoot his heart. Like that's still a thing that you have to do.
The heart that floats around.
Yes, you have to still shoot it, but it's not considered fighting. It's not considered killing.
Yeah.
As long as I don't do the fight options, I didn't have to worry about that.
Okay.
So then I had to get the ratings up. So I was literally like, I had 1 health left, 1 HP, and I had no more healing items. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to die in the next attack. But then I had 1 HP left, and I was like, I'm going to pose. And if and like literally it was, and the text was, with all of your last remaining strength, you pose dramatically. The audience goes crazy, and it hit the score of like 10,000.
That's amazing.
So then like I beat Mettaton stops attacking, and then the level, he actually runs out of batteries. So that's how you spare him. He runs out of batteries, and then that's it.
Because that's how you beat him the first time. You make him turn around and you switch him off.
Yeah,
right?
hit a switch.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So he runs out of batteries, and then Alphys comes running into the room, saying like, "Oh, I need a moment," whatever, and then really like the stuff with Alphys just kind of stops.
Yeah.
Like really abruptly.
Mm-hmm.
But it does come back. Probably not for you though.
No,
so I'll have to explain.
You explored the true laboratory.
Yeah,
right?
I'll explain that after. Because we'll get right now. We're pretty much at the end.
Yeah. There's like steps. You can explore a hotel before the barrier, where you get to meet the 2 cute cats who have their own alley shop.
Oh yeah, those people.
Like, bring me a glam burger. I brought them a glam burger, and they didn't want it. They're like, oh, you have a glam burger.
Yeah. So if I would have eaten a glam burger, I would have gotten extra ratings points because it's on brand. See, I know my marketing.
Yes.
Third call out to marketing for some reason.
Reverse marketing.
Because I know all about that.
Yes. This show's all about reverse psychology, reverse marketing, and today the reverse of what I do is what you do.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
So then pretty much this is the end of the game.
Asgore.
Yeah. So you pretty much make your way through the castle area stuff. There's really not much going on in
It's
there.
like a city. It turns from a castle then to a city, And that's when something really interesting happens, where you start walking through, you see the city in the back, and you start getting all of these, like, one after the other.
Yes.
Just
I
these
forgot about those.
These random encounters.
Yes.
Where you finally understand the backstory of what's happening with Asgore and why the world is the way it is. So it's a nice callback to, like, at the beginning of the game, when you look at the start screen, you're like, I don't know, monsters, children, the war, I don't need any of this. But what's told to you through all of the different creatures from the game is these random encounters where they don't fight you.
Okay, I was wondering if they fought you because you killed all of them.
No, they did not. And they were still there, but they would essentially say, like, hey, this is the story of why the world is the way it is.
Right.
So essentially you find out that Toriel and Asgore are, like, together.
Yeah.
And that
or at least they were.
They were together.
Yeah.
They had a child named Asriel. And in addition, there was a human child that fell into the world, and they almost claimed this human child to be their own. And this child just dies underground. Like, it gets sick and it dies.
Yeah.
There's no explanation there. It just, they love it like its own.
Yeah.
It happens, the child dies.
Yeah.
So Asriel, their other son, is like, or their other child wants to return the human boy, or the human child rather, to the surface. And so it essentially, like, lays it down where it used to live, or assumed where it used to live.
Yeah, like, it goes through the barrier because it has the soul of the human.
Of both.
Yeah,
that
of
it
both
can,
of them you have
that
to go
it can
through.
do that. And when it does that, a bunch of humans see this monster holding this dead child.
Right.
So they assume that the monster killed the child, and they just start, like, beating the crap out of him, right? And he could kill all of them with his
he totally
power,
could, but he doesn't.
and he doesn't.
Yeah.
So he makes his way back to his world, or back to the world underground, and just, like, almost like Snickers, and just falls and just dies.
Yep, and dies.
Could have defended itself,
Yep.
but it decided to just take the beating and then die when it got back.
Yeah, and then it dies.
And that's the rift that was created between humans, thinking that a monster killed a child,
Right.
and the other way that the monsters were, Asriel was killed.
Exactly.
From there, Asgore just takes on this, hey, we need to
fight,
We
pretty
need
much.
to fight.
So they've been collecting. So he's been collecting
Other child souls.
Exactly. So anyone else who falls down the pit, he's been collecting those souls, and apparently he needs 7 in order to become all powerful.
And he already has 6 of them.
He has 6. Yeah. So fun little random tidbit that I saw online: all the random equipment items are supposedly the, like, items from the previous humans that fell down into the underground.
Yeah.
Which is, like, I was like, when I read that online, I was like, oh my God. Like,
yeah.
That's kind of crazy.
And it actually plays into the final boss encounter in the neutral playthrough as well.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
so let's keep going.
So that's the explanation of what happens. So Asgore, he's just, like, big, friendly, like, looks like Toriel. And the one thing we didn't say is, like, Asgore's like, I don't know where my wife went. She just left and disappeared one day.
Oh, wait a minute. Before we get too much farther, there's a Sans interaction.
Is that before?
It's right before.
Okay.
It's right before Asgore. It's, like, in a yellow hallway,
almost throne room church kind of deal, right?
Where he kind of, I don't know. Does he explain this to you the same way?
He does, and it's. Like, I would say for the first 3 hours of the game, I had forgotten. So, like, Undertale came out in 2015, right? I stayed away from it, and I think at the time I knew there were different playthroughs.
Yeah.
And I kind of assumed there was a twist.
Right.
But I didn't know what it was. So when I found out what the twist was that you're about to say, I was legitimately floored.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was like, oh no. Because what does he reveal?
So he pretty much reveals that, so your level, or LV...
LV is not love.
It's not love. It's love, but it stands for level of violence.
Yeah.
And then
what?
Yeah, isn't that nuts?
Yeah.
And then your EXP was actually
execution points.
Yes, for how many people you've killed, essentially. So for me, because I had no love and I had no experience points, he was like, no, actually, like, you're a good guy. Like, he rated me and he was like, yep, you're good. Like, he had no issues with, he was like, oh, I believe, like, I believe you can do it, blah, blah, blah. And he was, we went to dinner. Did he take you to dinner?
He did take me to dinner before then.
Oh, yeah, maybe it was before then.
Because you get to hang out with him once or twice, where you find out that he is like this. You start to surmise that, like, you're not exactly what you're, like, portraying here. That you're kind of like the Master Roshi of this world. Sorry to call back to Dragon Ball Z again. But, like, you're not a simpleton
Right.
who likes to have ha-ha yuck times. Like, you're all about
Right.
wisdom and you understand everything that's going on. You kind of get that when you... I think I had like a drink with them at the bar.
Okay, no, he took me to dinner at the hotel.
Yes, he
Okay,
did.
he
So
did
there's,
that
I think,
with you
two
too?
opportunities. Snowden, I had a drink with him in the bar. And then when I got to the hotel, I got to
Yeah,
have
he did
dinner
that
with
too.
him.
Yeah, that's right. And then because he had mentioned that time that like he told me a story about like when he found a door and he knocked at it and then there would be a woman's voice on the other side of it. Did he tell you this story?
No.
So he told me a story about he found this door deep in the forest. He would knock at it and no one would come, and then he would practice knock jokes on it, just like knock.
Oh, he did actually.
Yeah,
tell this
and
one.
then so he would, and then he eventually there was a woman's voice on the other side of the door, and then she eventually like told knock jokes back and stuff. But I'll tell you about where that kind of comes into play later.
So do we talk then about the Asgore fight?
Yeah.
So I think it's really cool because the Asgore fight, you enter his throne room that's full of flowers, and it's essentially just like, yeah, I guess we're going to do this. And what does he say to you? Not about wash. It's going to be like a dentist appointment.
Yeah.
He's like,
He's
don't
pretty
worry.
like clinical about
Yeah,
it.
I'm going to take your soul. I'm going to get through this door.
Yeah.
It's going to be fine. You'll be
I'd
fine.
offer you tea, but like there's really no point. Like, yeah.
So he starts the battle
Yeah.
and
he,
does
like,
something very unique.
Yes, he like stabs away the mercy option. You do not have the option to spare him.
He breaks the third wall
Yeah.
and is like, this mercy option, nope.
Pretty much the whole game gets third wall broken after this point. But
Right.
so he smashes the thing. You pretty much have to fight him. So even in my playthrough, I had to fight.
Oh, God.
I had like a small dagger, and I think I had like something for defense and stuff like that. Like, but I've never used an item before.
How did you win this game?
So, lots of healing items.
Yeah.
And then you could do struggle, or it was either talk or struggle or something. I think you talk 3 times, and it permanently lowers his attack and defense.
Okay.
So it kind of helped. But yeah, no, it was hard. I died a lot fighting him. And like each time I died, when I would talk to him, you would say, "You tell Asgore that this is the 4th time that he's killed you," and Asgore looks sad, and then he'll drop his attack. You know what I mean? Like, so pretty much like you keep, and so the number is like 5 times, 6 times, 7 times. Like I just kept dying. Eventually I did get through it. So, you have to attack. So when you attack, this was the first time I attacked anything. It's pretty much the same, like it's like a line that goes through, and you have to like hit it like in the right spot.
It's all weapon dependent, right?
Oh,
so
okay.
if you have like the toy dagger, for example, it's just like, imagine, I don't want to say like a DDR, but it's very much like a rhythm game style.
Okay.
Like rectangle that you have to hit in the middle to get the most
yeah,
damage.
that's kind of how mine was too.
But depending on the weapon, you might have a weapon that brings 4 lines that you have to subsequently be like bop, 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 and you get more damage if you hit it in the center.
I was just hitting the center. I didn't
Some
realize.
of them as well, you have to like press the button once and then it'll be like hit A a bunch of times on the actual, like it depends, but it does have that same basic like rectangle layout with a little bit of variation in
Interesting.
between.
Okay. So yeah, I eventually got his health down to like minimal. I think it was like 1 or 2, or like got really, really low.
Yep.
And then it was then he pretty much like you could give him, you have the option to kill or mercy.
Yep.
So he pretty much, it's like, hey, you won, whatever, just kill me, whatever. I kept hitting mercy over and over again. Did you hit kill?
Yeah, right away.
Oh my God.
I thought about it for a second, but then I was like, I'm a bad man. I'm just gonna like follow through with this.
So I went mercy, 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 and then Flowey ends up killing him.
What?
Yep.
Okay,
Flowey jumps in and murders him.
So this is when things are gonna separate.
Yeah.
for
So
us.
what happens to you? You kill him, and then what?
So then Flowey like enters the picture.
Okay.
And all 6 of the souls that were left kind of go around.
Yeah.
Flowey.
So this still happens to me too, but Flowey did the killing. I didn't do it.
Okay, so I did the killing, and Flowey's like, "What did I tell you? This world is kill or be killed."
Right.
And then
Yeah.
and then the screen goes black.
Yeah.
Is that what happens? With
Yeah.
you?
I think so.
Okay, and then what happens after that? Do you
Okay.
have to reload into the game?
I'm confused. I'm confusing my endgame stuff
Okay,
because did you not fight Flowey
no,
ever?
I did, but what happens is you you load out of the game. So essentially it's like fades to black and you start with the main screen again, except this scared the living crap out of me the first time it happened. The screen glitches.
Yeah, it glitches and it's weird and it goes crazy.
Yep.
Was there not a Flowey fight before that though?
No.
Or no?
No, I do not fight Flowey first.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
I'm trying to think if I had a Flowey fight.
What I'm getting from this though is that you didn't get a true pacifist run.
So I looked this up.
Okay.
You have to finish the game on neutral first at least once.
Oh no!
You don't have to do another whole playthrough though.
Okay.
So essentially what happens is I fight Photoshop Flowey, which is
what a
terrifying, insane madness of a boss.
Describe the art style, because it breaks the art style of the game, and it's someone described it as like Donkey Kong Country style.
Yes, a little bit.
Like graphics.
Yeah.
But it's this grotesque like flower that has vines and
Have
like
you ever
claws.
done one of those projects in school where you have to like cut out things from a magazine and like paste it onto a shoebox, and it's supposed to represent you, and you put stuff that represents you in this box?
Yeah.
I'm assuming this is a school thing that other people have done. This is what Photoshop Flowey looks like. It's like pasted on pieces of different things onto a thing it's pretty much like this big overarching green claw leafy thing with like 4 eyes and tubes. And
if you've watched the original Toy Story and you go into Sid's room, this would be like a creation in Sid's room.
Yeah, pretty much,
because it's so disgusting and grotesque.
It's gross.
Yeah, and you have to fight this thing.
Yes. So what ends up happening? He keeps like killing you over and over and over again, and like every time I died, he would say, well,
he would start skipping because the first time
I think once you hit certain levels of the fight, you continue off.
Yeah,
like,
but even though like the first time you will see him talk again, but the second time you go in,
just go straight into the
fight.
fight.
Straight into the fight.
Yeah,
and like you said, you checkpoint.
Yeah, you kind of checkpoint certain points in the fight.
And he also plays with loading and saving.
Yes, he messes up your. Yeah, it's pretty wonky. Like it.
Like Psycho Mantis, like how that Psycho Mantis screws with you in Metal Gear, where it looks at your controller and like looks at your memory card. Like this will load you. So at some point, imagine like a VCR ticker in the bottom, where it's like save slot 2, load slot 2, and it's actually moving your character, your little heart, and putting you in harm's way of damage.
Yes, so like it shifts around. It like messes with the game, and it's I played this on my Switch, so like. I knew that this is part of the game, but I could only imagine if I was playing this on PC thinking like, oh my God, this is messing with my computer. Like this game is like glitched and
I'm getting viruses.
Right. It doesn't like it's glitching out really bad. Like I could only imagine what the initial reaction would be like to that. Knowing that it was on my Switch, I was kind of like, and I guess you have to actually like reset the game if it was PC, I'm assuming.
So you want to hear a funny story?
What?
So I deleted my Switch save.
You what? Thinking you had to
Yeah, so before you get to the Flowey fight, you actually get this black screen that I didn't realize. Like I thought, oh no, like I did this because I didn't read up on what the genocide run was.
Right.
So I thought, oh, I killed almost everyone, so maybe I'm on this genocide run and I'm a bad boy. So like maybe my reward is this black screen that I can't get out of.
Right.
So I started to read into it, but I didn't know what to look for. I didn't know how to type in like genocide run, blah. So I just Googled, and the first thing I found was, you need to delete your save.
And I think that's because of the PC version is like that.
And for some of the we'll explain it later, but for some of the runs, in order to get a certain outcome, you actually have to delete all of your save files.
Right.
Because I'll explain it now. Once you do a genocide run,
you have to reset.
Permanently marked as like I did a genocide run, and it affects all of your runs.
All of your later games. You can never get the true ending, the true pacifist ending. You cannot get if you've done a genocide run first.
Yes. So I thought like, I guess this is the end of the game. Like maybe if I delete my save, it's like Doki Doki Literature Club.
Right. Yes.
And I won't spoil it, but like there's elements of that in Doki Doki Literature Club. So I thought, I'm just going to delete my save.
Where you play with the save files and stuff.
Yeah, so I deleted my Switch save.
Oh my God.
So I want to shout out Flowey's Time Machine, which is on GitHub, and it actually will help you rebuild your save file on PC.
Okay.
So I actually finished the game on PC.
Really? Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Yes. So thanks to Flowey's Time Machine, I finished the game on PC,
That's
which was
nuts.
which was the Flowey fight.
I think I stared at a blank screen for a good minute or two before I was like, do I have to reset? Do I have to reset? Do I have to reset? And then like it would kick back in.
Because one of the endings, and this is the true Genocide ending, will drop you into like a black screen where you actually have to let it sit idly.
Right.
Until it just like really creepily laughs at you. Just, I watched the video and I was just,
That's terrifying.
I was so terrified.
It does a really good job of being scary.
I didn't think it was going to be scary.
Right? I know. It does. And like, because you legit think you're wrecking your save files, your games, like your progress is gone. Like it does a good job of really
playing with all of your expectations,
breaking that
gaming.
fourth wall really, really well. Right? So
yeah. I played it last night and I finished it last night and I was terrified. I couldn't even go into the basement afterward. Like I'd given blood, so like I was a little lightheaded, and I was afraid to go into the basement because I just didn't like.
Yeah. Oh my God,
I didn't want to do
funny.
it. I didn't want to do it.
Yeah. So like I was playing it on my Switch. It eventually like reset, and like you go through the Flowey fight, and eventually I get to the end of the Flowey fight, and you have the option to kill or mercy. Kill or mercy. So constantly I'm like mercy, 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 mercy. And eventually Flowey's like, why are you doing this? Like, I've done terrible things. Why are you like giving me any kind of mercy at all? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then Flowey, okay, so if you've done everything good in terms of a pacifist run at that point, like you've completed the game on a neutral ending. Yep. You're good. Mm-hmm. Flowey actually jumps back in and gives you a tip to give you the real ending. And that tip was you need to go back to Alphys and pretty much like, just like I did with Papyrus and Undyne, you had to go back and date Alphys and you had to go back and like become friends with Alphys properly.
Because you need 3 different, you need to date 3 or 4 different characters to get the final ending. That's wild.
It's Undyne, Papyrus, and Alphys, but Alphys, pretty much you can't even unlock this unless you complete a neutral ending first.
Wow.
So essentially what happens is you're brought back into the game and you pretty much could go right back to Asgore and fight him again. Like you continue off from your last save, I think. Or you might be on a bed of flowers. I can't remember. Either way, you go back through and you get a phone call from Undyne. So this phone call from Undyne doesn't trigger unless you've already done a neutral win, like you've won neutrally.
So this is something that you did not experience,
no.
but that you looked up.
No, I
fact.
did this.
Oh, you did
Yeah,
this?
I did this. So it pretty much, and I didn't look this up afterwards. Once I'd beaten the game, because I knew I had not killed anyone and I was getting toward, I thought I was at the pacifist ending. In reality, I hadn't reached it yet. So I looked this up after the fact that like, oh, I guess you have to complete a neutral ending before you get the real pacifist ending. Mm-hmm. And this is what I did. So the game, you have to, Flowey pretty much says you need to go back to Alphys. On your way back to Alphys, there's only one route back to Alphys. Undyne calls you and says, hey, I need you to deliver something. So go see Undyne, who's living at Papyrus's house. So you have to go all the way back there. So you take the riverboat. Did you?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So you take the riverboat back to Snowdin, go talk to Papyrus. She gives you a letter and wants you to give it to Alphys. So you go back to the Hotlands, go back to Alphys' lab, slip the letter under the door, and Alphys reads it. You don't know what's in the letter. The letter essentially says like, hey, you're cute, I want to date you. So Alphys thinks you want to date.
Oh, this game is so funny.
When in reality, it's actually Undyne who wants to date Alphys.
Yeah.
So you then end up going on a date with Alphys. Wait, first, you explore, before you go on the date with Alphys,
the true
laboratory down below. And this is where you kind of gain some more knowledge about the lore of this story and what happened. Mm-hmm. Essentially, Alphys found out that by experimenting on monsters and experimenting on humans that fell down into the underground, that she could extract determination from what she would call determination from the human souls.
Yep.
And was trying to inject them into monsters so that they could be strong enough to survive passing through the barrier.
Yep.
Pretty much you have to then go around the true laboratory and find a bunch of different keys. You actually end up fighting a bunch of like amalgamated monsters,
Yep.
which are really creepy and terrifying, and there's kind of ghost-like things, and it's kind of like you're fighting like one random encounter like 3 times, and like you have to try to figure out. It's the same idea. It's still trying to figure out what act to do, right?
Yep.
Alphys eventually admits to everything, was tired of lying about it, and that's why she's been so like fidgety and everything like that, because she was taking monsters off of like the streets and experimenting on them, and then they were turning into these disgusting amalgamations, and then couldn't tell anyone like what happened to their children.
Isn't that how you find out what Flowey truly is?
So it turns out that Flowey in reality was Azrael, who was the child of Toriel and Asgore, and that is what Flowey actually was. So Flowey was like a weird amalgamation thing with Azrael's soul trapped inside of it.
But isn't also the child that dies soul a part of Flowey as well?
So I think it's a case of...
I thought that Flowey was a physical manifestation. I wrote this down because I wanted to make sure it was right. Flowey is a physical manifestation of the souls of Azrael and the child in a plant's body. Okay,
that makes sense, because I'm assuming that must be what it is, because I can't remember the exact details, but yeah, like essentially you find out that Flowey is Azrael, right? Yeah. So before we get too much farther, you go on a date with Alphys. You go to the junkyard. Alphys comes out in like a dress. She's all done up and nice and everything like that. You find out that Alphys actually really likes Undyne. This whole entire time, she doesn't like you.
So you're the middleman.
Yeah, pretty much. And then Undyne shows up, and then they pretty much like kind of like start not dating, but like at least almost try to admit to each other that they might like each other. But essentially you have increased your like friendship with Alphys, and you do a date kind of scenario thing again. It's the same kind of idea. You do a date scenario again, but Alphys pretty much realizes that like, hey, I've done some bad things with all this experimenting, and I need to just kind of be alone and find myself. But that still counts as like gaining that friendship.
You did the date.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So once you've done that, then you go back and you fight Asgore.
Yep.
Now, instead of fighting Asgore, Toriel shows up, because I never killed her, unlike you did. And Toriel, because this is the true pacifist ending. Toriel shows up, stops Asgore from fighting you. So you don't even have to do the fight. Toriel pretty much like scolds him and says like, what were you doing? Like ex-wife kind of angry at you, right? And then ends up happening that all your main characters start showing up. So Asgore's there, Toriel's there, Papyrus and Sans show up. Turns out that the story that Sans tells you about the knock-knock jokes at the door was Toriel on the other side. Oh. So they meet for the first time. They're like, I recognize that voice, right? So they meet for the first time. Undyne shows up. Alphys shows up. Even like Mettaton's like leg kind of peers into the corner, like briefly. And so what ends up happening is they're all there. You know, we're like, hey, we're going to do this together, whatever. Flowey shows up, kills pretty much everyone, and like takes their souls, all the monsters, and the souls of the humans that Asgore was going to take. Yep. And it's once again this crazy boss fight. So like insane boss fight with Photoshop Flowey.
Yep.
So
Photoshop Flowey.
Really bad. But essentially what ends up happening is Flowey is it goes Photoshop Flowey, and you have to then fight little mini fights with the souls of each of your friends. Yep. So you have to do a little mini Undyne fight where Undyne can't really remember what's going on because she's kind of this weird amalgamation, doesn't understand, right? Yep. So you do these little mini fights that are reminiscent of their actual fights, and then you unlock them all. They all try to save you, and then everyone kind of you're down to like no health. Like at this point, you're pretty much like not you're not going to survive. They all protect you in different ways, and in the end, Flowey turns out to actually be Azrael. Then you have to do a fight with Azrael.
Whoa.
So, and this fight's like kind of crazy. Like there's a lot of multicolor, like it's like flashy multicolor.
Yes, I've seen it, like
really
rainbow.
Psychedelic rainbowy stuff. And it's really hard, but the act options are, you can either hope, and hope will drop the attack for like his attack strength for the next attack. And then you can also dream. And if you dream, it actually fills your inventory with healing items.
Oh, wow.
So it's pretty easy to beat as long as you stay alive long enough. And it's pretty much just stay alive long enough until you get to the end kind of thing. And you can I just kept healing, kept dodging attacks, and they're really hard attacks. Like there's like flashy lightning and it's like starbursts everywhere. Like probably the most amount of stuff on screen I've seen in this game. Some of it got actually pretty easy after a little bit. Like after doing it, it wasn't actually that hard, but it's like very fun and psychedelic, and the music was great. Once again, another like banger hit was the Asriel like fight music.
Yep.
And then so you end up mercying Asriel, and then you Flowey or Asriel turns into young child Asriel, explains that like it got caught in the Flowey body, it just wanted souls, it feels so bad about everything that it did, it releases all the souls of all your friends, but then there's not enough power because it doesn't have a soul of its own, so it dies. So Flowey / Asriel dies, and then everyone else is alive, and because and Flowey breaks the barrier at the end. So Flowey breaks the barrier, everyone goes to the surface.
And there's this amazing like credit sequence.
Yes, which is
adorable.
like Papyrus going through and he's driving a car, and like it's just all this fun stuff, and like Undyne and Alphys like on a date at the beach, and like it's just great. It's terrific. And then and then you have like a weird final option to either go your own way or live with Toriel for the rest of your life, or at least for the time being. And so I stayed with my mom / girlfriend, and then. And then that's pretty much the end of the game. It was, what I would say that though, like the game does I would say throughout the entire game, I was kind of like taking it as like, it's fine, it's fun. And I don't think I really realized that I cared about these characters and I cared about what was happening until the very, very end, when like everyone was there caring about me, loving me, wanting to make sure I was okay. I was wanting to make sure they were okay. And then saving them all at the end, and we all get to like live our lives at the end, and everyone gets to be free. Yeah. I think that's when the game really kind of hit me. As a like, oh wow, this is actually something like really special. This is something that's actually like the writing is really good. I've really grown to like the characters, and it took a little bit of time for me to get there, but I think that True Pacifist ending was really like what kind of solidified me for really loving this game. Yeah,
I would say that I was like, it took me 3 hours to really understand why this game was special, because I started playing and I'm like, this is like
just killing stuff.
This is like a Super Nintendo RPG. Like I'm not like, sure, it's got some great writing, but like, why is this? Yeah. Why is this the internet community's game fact greatest game of all time when I don't even because
you were playing it wrong.
I was playing it wrong. Yep. You know what playing it wrong really is, though? Yeah. The genocide ending. Right. So did you read up on the genocide ending?
I didn't do very much. I was kind of too sad to... I didn't want to read up on it.
It is very sad.
Yeah, I
And
figured.
just let me give you the high level, because I did not do it. Okay. I've actually started a pacifist run as well.
So so you can actually get to the real... did I spoil it? Oh, I guess you did say spoiler warning at the beginning. This is your fault.
This is my fault. Yeah. This is reverse marketing again.
No, you shouldn't have listened to this podcast.
I actually watched. Yes, I should not listen to you talk about Undertale in such a good way. I actually watched a great video, and I want to shout it out. And it was a video from the Nitro Rad YouTube channel. Okay. I think he's got 100,000 subscribers. Like he's Canadian. Okay. He's from Nova Scotia. Sweet. He had a very good 30-minute review on exactly. It's like an explainer for Undertale. Right. And it's a really fantastic video. You should watch it. But essentially, he explains what happens in the Genocide run. And so in the Genocide run, at the end, you kill Asgore in one shot, because you've gotten so powerful that you just murder Asgore one shot. Oh my god! After that, you go to Flowey, and Flowey like begs for its life. It's like kill or be killed, and then you start to kill Flowey. Oh my god! And Flowey it begs for its life. It's like not me, anyone but me. And you just like. Imagine like your sword swipe is coming down and just like crushing Flowey into like the dirt.
Oh my god!
And that's when like it goes to this high pitched wailing like track in the throne room, and someone appears as So you talked a lot about Asriel, and Flowey is actually the manifestation of both Asriel and
okay.
the first child that came down into the well. So for purposes of like explaining the lore, they like to use like Chara as the number one child that was murdered, and Frisk as your character.
Yes, because you find out that your name is actually Frisk.
Yes, and that when you named someone at the beginning of the game,
that became the name of the character that fell in the first place.
Yeah, you didn't actually name yourself.
Right.
You named the first child that fell through.
Yes.
And that's when this child, so Chara, whatever your name, explains that every time you killed someone, I think it's like determination was transferred from you and making Chara more powerful.
Oh.
And so by the end of the game, you've actually made this first child incredibly powerful and reincarnated this first child back to life. Yeah.
Okay.
And so at this point, this child is in front of you, and the rest of the screen is black, and you cannot get out of this screen. Like, you can't hit escape.
Oh my
the
God.
only way you can get out of it is like if you're on Windows is like Alt F4 or like exit out if you're on Switch. And then it essentially is like, thank you for offering, or thank you for like letting me achieve what I need to achieve. I want to give you the option of destroying the whole world.
Yeah.
Or not destroying the whole world. So essentially it is either erase or do not.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So,
and if you do not, then nothing happens.
Well, no. If you say erase, Chara, this first child that fell down the well, calls you a great partner, and then like you relish in the world's destruction.
Oh my gosh.
And if you hit do not, Chara's like, since when are you the one that has control? And does it anyway. So what follows, and I'm like getting tingle, like I have goosebumps.
Oh my gosh! Gosh! You actually do.
Goosebumps on my legs.
That's nuts.
There's like a giant screen full of like error 9s that come up, and then it just like goes. I don't know what it does on Switch, but like the game on Windows, even in the Flowey fights, will like exit the game. Will like exit. So I would imagine, I don't know what it does on Switch, but on PC it
probably just like goes back to like the title screen.
I would imagine so. And what this does is, if you do one of these runs, if you do a genocide run, you're like, oh man, that was awful. I want to do like a pacifist run again. What ends up happening is at the end, there's an additional like cutscene that's shown, and it's you with Toriel, and Toriel brings you pie in your bed. And you're in your bed, and imagine like you put your covers over you, and then you put your covers down back, and it's Chara with like the red eyes that come through, basically like. And I guess the characters,
I got that ending, but literally it's just like you just
like,
get the pie and he leaves, and it's nice and happy.
There's a picture that's shown of all the characters that you saved, and there's like red marker just scribbled on all of their faces.
Oh, that's terrible.
And even throughout, like Sans will, because Sans is part of this. Like one thing that I didn't explain is that as a part of the genocide ending, you actually have to fight Sans.
Oh my gosh!
And he is, from my understanding,
you can kill him?
The hardest boss in the entire game. I'm not
surprised. Yeah.
But even throughout, like Sans will allude to the fact in a post-genocide pacifist run that like, you know, you think you're all that in a bag of chips, but like I know exactly what you are.
Right.
So like, you could play the game 4 times and it would be different every
single time.
And then that's not even like,
I'm sure there's tons of other things there's probably tons of other things that you've probably missed along the way. Like all these little side character things, all these random quippy jokes that are along the way. I wish I like maybe took more time to kind of explore in detail every character, but this is also what I do with every game, so I never finish video games.
Yeah.
So like I would rather.
How's your Mass Effect run going?
Yeah, I know. Hey, I'm still on 1. So yeah, like I like to do everything in a game because I want to experience it all, right? And it's nice doing games for this podcast because it kind of forces me to, it gives me a deadline like, hey, you need to finish this game so that you can actually be on the podcast, but also so that like you can experience it, right? Like, and yeah, maybe I have to sacrifice not seeing everything But it's nice because then I get to actually like finish games that I wouldn't have otherwise finished, or I would have at least prolonged, because I would have done everything I could possibly do, maybe gotten bored about halfway through and then stopped playing at some point.
Yeah.
Or something new came out and caught my attention.
I'm very excited to dive into like the YouTube videos, like digesting the lore, because I'm a fan of the Game Theory series. I think I mentioned it before. And Pat dives into. Do you know who W.D. Gaster is?
No.
So he's like one of those like secret characters that I guess Toby Fox just kind of. The thought initially was, this is just like leftover code,
right?
But there's. As a part of the game, there's a random number generator that takes place in every single run of the game.
Okay.
So it picks a number between 1 and 100.
Okay.
And so there's like only a 20% chance that you can have a chance at. It's like
getting to this person,
this WD Gaster, just to understand that like actually maybe he's the big bad guy.
Interesting. I'm gonna have to do tons of research about this, because like I'm super interested, but obviously, so I guess I read online that like because I completed True Pacifist route, that I can't really. I'd have to it gives you the option to like delete your save file so that you can start over, but at the cost of everyone going back underground, everyone losing their memories of everything that happened, and it kind of like guilts you into not doing it. So you have to like feel bad about like resetting. You're going to feel bad about resetting your game, because now everyone's lost their freedom. They're all going to get reset, and no one is going to remember you or any of your relationships or anything like that. So that's the thing. Like I'd love to explore this more, but I think I might just do it through YouTube instead.
And the one last thing that I want to say is there's I think you know that I'm a fan of professional wrestling, correct? So for those of you listening who are fans of professional wrestling, especially New Japan Pro Wrestling, there's actually a tie to Undertale. In that at this year's New Japan, their kind of WrestleMania Dominion. No, it's not Dominion. Wrestle Kingdom.
Okay.
At their Wrestle Kingdom, Kenny Omega was their champion.
Okay.
And he said that Undertale, he played it late, and it was his favorite game of like 2017.
Okay.
So he worked with Toby Fox on the intro to his essentially Wrestle Kingdom entrance.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for political reasons within the wrestling company, they didn't show the full video that Kenny did. It's because he was leaving the company and they didn't want him to make him look that good on his going out. But he worked with Toby Fox and one of the animators, I think Temmie,
Temmie's the other one.
Temmie's the other one on essentially like a New Japan Pro Wrestling story that is based on Undertale.
Oh my gosh.
So if you want to look that up, it's called Kenny's Quest.
Oh my gosh.
It is absolutely fantastic, especially if you're in like the Venn diagram of like wrestling fan and Undertale fan. Like me, I watched it again today and I was like, oh, this is so special.
Oh my gosh.
And then you see his entrance where he comes in and it's like, it's playing the like a remix of, I think one of the last boss battles.
Okay.
I just don't know if it's Asgore or if it's Azrael, but it's like a metal remix. And I'm just
regardless, good choice.
Yeah, this is so good.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, those are the two things. Check out Nitro Rad's video or his video on the game, and then Kenny's Quest. It's like 4 minutes long, and it's fantastic.
Nice, that's awesome.
Do you have any final thoughts about Undertale?
I think I kind of briefly touched upon it, but I think like this game surprised me. I don't know, like I knew it was a game I wanted to play. Going through the bulk of the game, I don't know if I like appreciated it at the time. I was more like, just going through the motions. But I think once I got to the end, and once you actually hit that like true pacifist ending, and you like, I don't know, it really does like pull at your heartstrings. It's wholesome. It does great writing. The characters are hilarious, but also like there's some like realness in there too. Like Alphys is going through stuff, and like Papyrus is, you know what I mean? They all have their reasons for the way that they are, right? And it's a lot smarter writing than I thought it was going to be, especially like looking at it at face value, right? So highly recommend it. I loved it. I definitely am going to dive deep into all the YouTube things I could possibly find now, because like, I'm really wanting to know more about the game, but I don't want to play it again because I don't want to erase my save file, because everyone is happy, and that's the way it should be.
Could always get it on computer as well and do a genocide run.
Oh my god!
And then never look at it again.
No, genocide run. I'm no
on
murder.
PC.
No, I don't care.
Okay,
I'm not gonna kill them.
I
friends.
I was explaining this earlier that I think
don't kill friends.
Well, I guess I kill friends then.
Oh no!
Yeah, you should watch out.
I'm leaving now.
You should go. I love Undertale as a game. Sometimes it's tough from like a gameplay perspective to like stay invested because it's very simplistic. But to me, what I appreciate is that you will not get Undertale in any other medium.
Yeah.
I think I've said it a few other times on this podcast when we play games that like do things that they mess with your save, they mess with the world, they break the fourth wall.
Yeah.
Like that stuff.
There's not something like this.
No, there are very few game experiences that I can think of that, you know, play with the rules of the game and also just tell like a really good, engaging story that just breaks your expectations of what it's going to be. I had no clue what I was getting myself into.
Yeah, me neither. I had absolutely no idea.
I'm just like, I want to play Undertale.
Yeah.
And I'm just really glad that I did because I can now just spend hours and hours watching YouTube videos, people like piecing it all together.
Yeah.
Play Undertale. Toby Fox has a new game coming out. The first chapter is out, Deltarune.
Yes, which is like like anagram. Is that the different spelling it out? Yeah. So it pretty much spells Undertale, but it's flipped around.
And
So
also,
is it like a sequel? I don't even know what the deal is with it.
I just read the Wikipedia page real fast, and what's funny is you can get the first chapter for free.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so if you are listening to this, you've played Undertale, and you're interested about Toby Fox's games, you can grab Deltarune. The first chapter is available on most platforms for free, and it is not... They're saying it's not in the same world as Undertale, but in Undertale there is a ruin called the Deltarune.
Okay. Okay.
Two words that's just alluded to.
Right.
But apart from that, it's inspired by,
Gotcha.
but it's not the same battle system.
Right.
And it's not the same characters, even though there's a character called Toriel in this game too. But Undertale is a very good video game.
Yes. Okay, so I guess, Jacob, if I wanted to talk to more people about, you know, Undertale and like their experiences playing this game, where can I do that?
So there's this cool thing on the Left Behind Game Club website. You can go to leftbehindgame.club, click on the Discord button on the website, and you can enter into our Left Behind Game Club Discord. On that Discord, there's something like, I don't know, 30 or 40 people that like actively talk about the different games that they're playing, but also talk about the shows that we've put together. So I want to shout out Noltron3030, who gave us a few questions that we answered throughout the show. Who is your favorite character? What is your favorite monster encounter? And what level and experience do you have currently? We kind of answered them throughout. If you want to ask us questions or interact directly with us, that is the place to do it. Again, leftbehindgame.club, enter our Discord, and you can see all the hot deals we're sharing and all the fun video game stories we're sharing. Hot deals, the hottest deals.
Hottest.
Travis, if people want to find you on the internet, where can they do so?
I am at Travis Colenutt on Twitter.
Colenutt. And you can find me at Jacob McCourt on all major social media platforms. I do a lot of tweeting, though, so you might want to check me out there. And in the words of Michael Ruffalo, that, my friends, is one less game left behind.